You found yourself on another edition of Let 'Em Know Kings United, and on today's episode, Dean Wade leads the Cavs on a 22-point comeback to stun the Boston Celtics 105-104, and in honor of the Kelsey brothers, I got one thing to say about it. All right, this is Let 'Em Know Kings United. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is that time for the post-game reaction podcast of the Cleveland Cavaliers, Sacramento Kings, and the Chicago Bulls. This is Let 'Em Know Kings United. Let 'em know, Nation, what a thriller of a comeback for the second straight night. You already know what time it is. Welcome to another edition of Let 'em Know Kings United, your Sacramento Kings, Chicago Bulls, and Cleveland Cavaliers post-game reaction podcast. I'm your host, Carlo Weisberg. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's program. You can find this show, which is absolutely free and available on your favorite podcast app like Spotify, Amazon Music, Pandora, iHeartRadio, all that good stuff. And you can also find this show on my YouTube channel, NJHawk40. If you are watching this show on YouTube, hit the like button on this video, hit subscribe, leave a nice comment down below, and turn on that notification bell so you know when the next time Let 'Em Know Kings United goes live. Give the show a follow on those platforms if you can, please. Turn on your notifications so you know about the next episode. Please rate, spread the word out to your friends, and give Let 'Em Know Kings United a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you are listening to this on. It is an amazing way to support the podcast, and I appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in. Whoa! 2 consecutive nights, 2 consecutive 20-point comebacks. I mean, what is this world are we living in? Last night we covered the Chicago Bulls comeback against the Sacramento Kings. This time the Cleveland Cavaliers come back from 22 points down and stun the Boston Celtics 105-104 inside a raucous Rocket Mortgage Field House in a unbelievable game, in an unbelievable comeback effort by the Cleveland Cavaliers. First of all, Jason and Travis Kelsey were in the building. They were from Cleveland Heights, Ohio. Travis Kelsey plays football for the Kansas City Chiefs. And by the way, his girlfriend is Taylor Swift, the queen of music. I'm just going to say that right off the record. And Jason Kelsey recently retired from football. He played his entire career for the Philadelphia Eagles. I watched his press conference, and let me tell you something. I never teared up in anything related to sports. I never teared up. When I watched Jason Kelsey announce his retirement a couple of days ago, it was one of the most emotional things that I've ever watched. But I respect the Kelsey brothers because they are the GOATs of football. What Dean Wade did last night, he pulled off his inner Travis Kelsey. This dude went absolutely crazy in the fourth quarter. He scored 20 points. He outscored the Boston Celtics all by his damn self. The Celtics got outscored 34-17 in the fourth quarter, and Dean Wade was an absolute catalyst to that. Now, the starting lineup for this game, it was, in a word, really, really interesting. It was Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, Jared Allen, the 3 usual suspects. Isaac Okoro, he did a really good job backing up Max Strus. But Sam the Man Merrill, his first career start, I believe. I believe this was his first career start. I could be wrong on that. So don't take me at my word here. Take that with a grain of salt. But what I'm really impressed about this win was not the fact that Dean Wade was a big spark, not the fact that Jason and Travis Kelsey were in the building, I really appreciate the fact that the Cleveland Cavaliers, they were down 93 or 95 to 71. And I was like, this is the Bulls all over again. When I saw the highlights of this game, when I saw the coaching film session or awful coaching guy, shout out to him. He makes great filming content for all you basketball heads out there. I encourage you to check the awful coaching channel out on YouTube. When I watched film of this game, I saw that a couple of times the Boston Celtics took the foot right out of the gas pedal, much like the Sacramento Kings last night. It was almost like deja vu. Like in Sacramento, the Kings took their foot right off the gas pedal, and they allowed the Chicago Bulls to come back. More specifically, Kobe White with his career-high 37. Last night in Boston was a different story. This time, Dean Wade was the role of Kobe White going absolutely crazy, and the Celtics were in the role of Sacramento, taking the foot right out of the gas pedal. Dean Wade said the rim looked like a swimming pool, and you know what? The rim was so wide that every shot that he took, he felt like it was almost going to go in. He made 5 3-pointers and scored 20 points in the fourth quarter. The Cavaliers won a replay review in the final seconds of the game. Jason Tatum was going for one of his vintage dagger shots. And kicked the leg out of Darius Garland. Now, Darius Garland, the Cleveland Cavaliers challenged this call. Darius Garland was feeling like, oh, this call is going to be an unsuccessful challenge. It's going to be a foul on me, and Boston wins the game. Because the original call on the court was a defensive foul on Darius Garland. If that would have happened, Jason Tatum would have got 3 shots, and ultimately the Celtics would have won the game. But the call was overturned to an offensive foul by Jason Tatum. The challenge was successful, and the game was won due to a jump ball that the Celtics controlled and won the game. But what I found really interesting was, as soon as the ball got tipped up, the clock started. Now, I understand the Celtics argument and the Celtics case that Joe Mazzulla, the head coach of the Boston Celtics, who, by the way, was terrible in the fourth quarter as far as coaching goes. Mazzulla came into that situation with a plan that as soon as the Celtics got the ball, which they did get the ball off the jump ball, they would have called a timeout. But first of all, Zach Zarba, the referee, who did an outstanding job, by the way. The NBA officiating is just absolute garbage. I mean, we all can agree on that retrospective, right? The officiating this year in the NBA is absolute dog crap. But Zach Zarba and Bill Kennedy are like my 2 favorite referees because I love the fact that they explain the challenges. I mean, Bill Kennedy sounds like a freaking actor every time he does that. I mean, all credit to Bill Kennedy and Zach Zarba there. But I want to talk about the Boston Celtics here because everybody knows the Boston Celtics are one of the best teams in the NBA this year. Probably the odds-on favorite to represent the East in the Eastern Conference to go to the NBA Finals, and the odds-on favorite to win the NBA championship this year. They had an 11-game winning streak coming into this game, and their 11-game winning streak was snapped thanks to Dean Wade and the Cleveland Cavaliers. Losses happen, and if you're a Boston Celtic fan, you don't have to overreact to this. You don't have to overreact in saying the season's over, the season's lost, this team is terrible, fire Joe Mazzulla. Don't say any of that. This Boston Celtic team has been the gold standard of the NBA all year long, and they are coming off a 50-point ass whooping to the Golden State Warriors. I mean, my God, you gave Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and Klay Thompson the business the game before this. So if you're a Boston Celtic fan right now, you don't have to overreact. You don't have to overreact to this loss. Losses happen. It was a bad night for Boston. And I still think Boston is still contenders. But you cannot sit here and tell me that Joe Mazzulla and the Boston Celtics lost this game because they had no communication on defense, and they allowed Dean Wade to get open all night long. He scored 20 points. 20 points. Dean Wade, by his damn self, simply outworked the Boston Celtics. And for Cleveland, this was an outstanding win coming off a loss against the New York Knicks, which honestly, the Knicks are the Cavs' daddies. The Knicks are the Cavs' daddies. I mean, this is not an argument here. This is just a straight up fact. But the way that the Cleveland Cavaliers responded after this loss, that was outstanding, especially with Travis Kelce in the building. And when he urged the crowd, the energy at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse was absolutely electric. And Jared Allen spoke about that. He said, when the Kelce brothers started hyping up the crowd, we knew we could do it. And the Cavaliers stormed back with no Donovan Mitchell. Now, Donovan missed this game with a knee injury, as well as Evan Mobley, who went out with a sprained ankle in the third quarter. Now, Donovan Mitchell got an injection in his knee, and he's going to miss the next few games. He missed last night. He's going to miss tonight's game against Atlanta. He's going to be reevaluated in a few days or so. I hope it is a good evaluation because we need Donovan Mitchell. He is the best player on the Cleveland Cavaliers for a reason, and everybody knows the Cleveland Cavaliers have no identity without Donovan Mitchell. But Wade, who finished with a career-high 23 points, came to the rescue with a barrage of threes in the fourth and a putback dunk with 19.1 seconds on the clock to put a dagger into this game. Now, the Celtics did really well. They dominated most of this game. I mean, in all retrospective, everybody thought that the Boston Celtics was going to win this game. I think the commentators on TNT were just glazing the Boston Celtics all night long and showed a lot of disrespect to the Cleveland Cavaliers. I'm not going to tell any announcer how to broadcast the game because I'm an announcer myself, but you got to be more neutral, man. You got to be more neutral. I mean, if you're glazing Boston because of the Boston beat, that's fine, but you cannot glaze one team on national television on TNT and not show respect to the other team. Like, come on. Another reaction, Darius Garland threw the foul. Said, I thought it was great defense. Who wasn't positive the call would go his way. I knew the leg kick was kind of in play. My shin still kind of hurts from it, so I'm glad it was overturned. Tatum said, I thought I was fouled, but they didn't think I got fouled, which was tough because we would have got the tip in. It was a weird way to lose the game. Jason Tatum felt Garland made enough contact to warrant free throws. I think it's a 50-50 call. I think personally, Darius Garland should have got fouled. I know I'm a Cavalier fan, and I know I'm supposed to cover the Cleveland Cavaliers for this podcast, but in my direct opinion, I think Zach Zarba got it wrong. The challenge should have been unsuccessful. Jason Tatum should have got free throws, and the Celtics would have won the game. That's just my opinion. That is just my opinion of this. Take that with a grain of salt if you would, but that was just my opinion for this. Following the game, Dean Wade, who grew up Kansas and is a diehard Chiefs fan, said Kelce made him an offer. He said, if basketball didn't work out for me, I could be a backup tight end. I got good hands. That was just awesome. Pretty cool. You know what? I can see Dean Wade as a football player. J.B. Bickerstaff said about Dean Wade, he's a multifaceted guy. He's not just a spot-up shooter. We know the things he can do defensively, but he has an offensive game. And tonight he got it rolling, but the belief and confidence, that's who Dean Wade is at its core. And Jaylen Brown called this a mentality loss for the Boston Celtics. He said about the mentality loss that the Boston Celtic had. He said, and I quote, "That's what happens when you don't match the gas and don't put an NBA team away. Tip your cap to Dean Wade. He got hot, but we should have won the game. We haven't really seen a team storm back like that. Shouldn't have happened. It was a mentality loss for the Boston Celtics." And he's right. He's right. He's right to a certain extent. You were the best team in the NBA. You are the best team in the NBA. And you allowed the Cleveland Cavaliers, who were coming off the most embarrassing loss against the New York Knicks, to storm back. And Dean Wade single-handedly carried the Cleveland Cavaliers to the win. It wasn't Darius Garland. It wasn't Jared Allen. It certainly wasn't Sam Merrill. And it certainly wasn't Max Strus who was out of this game. It was Dean freaking Wade that got the Cleveland Cavaliers this win. For Boston, you shouldn't overreact, but Jaylen Brown is right. It was a mentality loss for Boston, and credit to the Cleveland Cavaliers, they took advantage of it. The Cavs shot 43% from the field, 47% from three. The Celtics, 42% from the field, 40% from three-point range. The rebounds were 53-42 in favor of Boston. The assists were 28-24 in favor of Cleveland. The steals were 11-6 in favor of Cleveland. The blocks were 9-3 in favor of Boston. The fast break points were 12-7 in favor of Boston. The points in the paint were 48-32 in favor of the Boston Celtics. As far as Boston, Jason Tatum did his usual Jason Tatum things. 26 points, 13 rebounds, 2 assists, 8-21 for the field. Jaylen Brown doing his usual stuff, 21 points, 4 assists, 3 rebounds. Kristaps Porzingis in his first game back, 24 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, 3 blocks. I thought he looked like his vintage self out there. Derek White, only 3 points. I am really surprised that came out of him. Jrue Holiday, 12 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals. As far as Cleveland, the star of the game is clearly Dean Wade. 23 points, 8 rebounds, assists, 2 steals, 8 of 11 for the field, 6 of 9 from three-point range. Darius Garland, 16 points and 11 assists. Evan Mobley, 4 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals in 23 minutes. He left this game due to a knee injury. Jared Allen, I thought, was outstanding. 21 points, 12 rebounds, and 2 assists in this game. Isaac Okoro, 16 points, 4 of 8 from 3, with 4 rebounds, assists, and a steal, and 2 big-time blocks. Good win for the Cavs. Great comeback performance. Dean Wade is the absolute man here. And if you're Boston, and if you're a Boston Celtic fan specifically, don't overreact. It was just one loss. You're still the best team in the league. You're still going to rep the East. You're going to bounce back. Don't overreact to this loss. But great win for the Cleveland Cavaliers here. And a great comeback effort. And by the way, I'm sorry, Chicago Bulls. I'm not disrespecting your comeback the other night. But I think the Cavaliers were the better comeback because of the matchup. I understand that the Bulls and the Kings were a great matchup itself, but I think the Celtics and the Cavs comeback was just better than the Bulls and the Kings comeback, because it was 1 versus 3 in the Eastern Conference. Like, come on. That's going to do it for today's edition of Let 'Em Know Kings United. You can find this show on your favorite podcast app like Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, all that good stuff, and my NJHawk40 YouTube channel. Give the show a follow on those platforms. Hit the like button on the video. Leave a comment and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Turn on your notifications so you know about the next episode, and give Let 'Em Know Kings United a 5-star review. And by the way, spread the word out to your friends, please. I'm your host, Skylar Weisberg. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you right back here for another edition of Let 'Em Know Kings United.